I don't know what exactly the first thing out of the gate we should talk about. Should we talk about China and their fishing fleet and how it's the
Well,
size of all other fishing fleets in the whole country, the
well,
whole
yeah,
world
but you
combined?
do realize that they're like what, three, four, five, maybe six times the population of the U.S. You got to feed all those Chinese people. Of course, they're fishing fleet. Oh, we're live,
Yeah,
by the way, just so
but
you know.
they're gonna fish all the daggum fish out of the ocean, and we're all gonna die because they're gonna screw up the ecosystem. I mean,
Oh, there's fish down there we haven't even discovered yet because we never seen them. There's plenty of fish in the sea. You know, that old saying or whatever, the star kiss deal. I don't know. I'm just
okay,
rambling tonight.
so what you're saying is that we don't need no wildlife and fisheries. You're saying that you know just no limits.
Well, don't make me say something mean because I know and like several of the biologists and some of the, game wardens on the wildlife and fisheries, but compared to I wasn't even going to get into this, but I'll mention it real quick. So I think it was last week or week before, I was watching a wildlife and fisheries Facebook Live where they were discussing basically the fingerlings and the hatchery and raising bass fingerlings and all that. So I asked them a couple of really good questions, and they answered. They responded to them during the show, but their answers were a little lacking. But anyway, I don't even know what direction we're headed
I
tonight. We're gonna do an
well,
outdoor show, a wildlife show.
you know me on the outdoor stuff. I have a interest in that, and I'm really interested in the comment. I got to go back and watch that show and see that and dig into that a little bit. But I got to tell you, I'm concerned about I'm concerned about China. I'm concerned about the Middle East. I'm concerned about all that. I mean, and look, that is a threat. If China's going to go catch all the fish out of the damn ocean, I mean, they're going to screw the ecosystem up, and Bossier City's not going to be able to produce water for the
Oh,
port,
the
so that the port can
ecosystems
pay everybody's water bills in Bossier.
the ecosystem's already screwed up. I would argue that a lot of the reason that we have or seem to have a higher incidence of cancer, A, is because, well, we got more ways to detect it, but that we're so screwed up from testing the atomic bombs and the plastic island floating around the ocean that it doesn't matter anyway. They literally
Oh,
can't screw us up any more than we already are.
okay, so you're fixing to segue into the jab was actually, trying to kill off the population, and but you're
Might
okay
have
with
been.
China doing it by fishing.
We can't harp on that too long because we'll get cut off of Facebook and every other platform like Alex Jones.
Well, I mean,
I
look,
don't know.
if they're just trying to feed themselves, I get it or whatever. But
Well,
maybe they
they're
just
trying to take over the world. Let's not discount that fact. But speaking of taking over the world though, we've got something interesting to talk about here in a few minutes, and we'll get to it. So I don't want to tease it out too much. But item number two on our little agenda here is genocide and Bossier water. And I think that's pretty interesting that I don't think anybody else in town may know about.
I'm
I don't want to give it away
thinking,
too much, but
yeah, I'm thinking that the old secret proton mail system of ours proved productive in this case, as we've had some shared information that I don't think is really public knowledge, and I think it's probably going to send the shivers down some spines of some people. Probably, it may even reach the levels of walk on water in the nation's capital.
yeah, I think we're going to reveal some information that very few people are aware of. Oh, and I've got a special little video that you haven't even seen yet. So as soon as we come back from the break, uh, I guess when we start down the path of the city council meeting, remind me that I've got to play this very special video.
Now I do see some gibberish in here in the notes about the Bossier Parish Police Jury. I mean, you mean we're gonna give them a little
Well,
advertising?
we got to keep nodding over that way just so they don't know that we forgot about them and are letting them run roughshod over there. But yeah, it's the look. One of the things we've been saying like since probably day one of the show is that they have the meetings before the meetings. I mean, heck, the city council today pretty much got wrapped up and got their hat handed to them on that. But the police jury, through a public information request, I mean, we kind of got it in writing, but we'll let y'all, as the viewers, decide that. So, yeah, we got a little bit to share.
Well, hey, you want to know what really is the most overlooked thing being talked about in Bossier politics?
What would that be?
The Jason Rowland to be the school superintendent of Bossier Parish discussion. Have you heard anybody talk about that?
That's no, but I'll be glad to share a Jason Rowland story.
Well, the interesting thing is I had people telling me Jason Rowland stories today and brought it back to my attention. I said, I forgot all about that. I've heard nobody talking about the school superintendent consideration and race. And
honestly, I didn't even know it was up for grabs, but I can definitely tie that back into fishing as well.
Oh, interesting. It sounds like we got a lot of good stuff to talk about.
We got a few things to ramble about tonight when we get on our soapbox. So I want to thank everybody that's watching so far, and we do see the comments. Let's see, Robin Triplet Simmons, Christopher James Norris, Val Baker's in there, Mike and Judy Dillingham, Cliff Smith, Terry Norris, Eddie Shea, Judy Stewart, Paul Black. I don't know. The list keeps going on. Ann Bolton Denny is watching. Jessica Langley Maddox. So we got a whole host of people that are watching. Sorry if I missed a few of you, but the comments are scrolling by.
Hey. I see about 90 people. Okay, here's some trivia. If we're going to do our little break thing real quick. Trivia for all of you folks. I want y'all to start posting. Here's the trivia question. And, you need to post the answer. What new project in Bossier Parish are our, what do you call them? Our overlords? Our benevolent overlords. Yeah. Our benevolent overlords, yeah. What new project that costs $50 million of taxpayer dollars is our benevolent overlords trying to run down our throats?
Answer in the comments and think about this. And I should have had some Jeopardy music. Queued up.
Well, we're going to tell y'all in a minute, but you got to guess in the comments when we go on break.
All right, so we're going to do the countdown thing, folks. Y'all pretty much know how it goes. We're going to do our countdown and a little ad intro. That'll give you all about 3.5 minutes to like and share and text people and let them know we're talking about genocide. And I don't want to give it away too much. Anyway, we're going to talk about genocide in the city council meeting and beer for our horses. We can't forget the beer for our horses.
No, absolutely not.
All right, we'll be right back. Y'all go grab you a stiff drink, some popcorn, and get ready.
If folks knew a lot of the back office on the politicians that they think walk on water, they would be shocked. There's an old wound from a knife in my back that just is giving me heck lately, and it's just really irritating, so I have to kind of wiggle around a little bit.
Well, I've not heard my name in stable or Baton Rouge in stable in the same sentence in a long time.
And I titled it A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys.
Just, they feel helpless. They don't feel heard. They have nowhere to turn.
Some Republicans as well believe that government has the answers. And let me tell y'all something. I don't know anything government does well. Nothing.
Aren't there laws that say that you have public meetings so that the public can have accountability of their elected officials?
They're making a little bit of progress, but I would definitely have to give the race to Caddo Parish right now.
I don't know. Is there anybody from Plain Dealing watching, you think?
As a member of the media, I'm very concerned about what I've just heard.
Did you or did you not requisition some money to fight against this or for it?
We hired a lobbyist. It cost us $15,000. We were opposed to HB 630.
So for this week, folks, the cockroach of the week, according to Bossier Watch and Duke Lowry and Rex Moncrief, is
Raymond Cruz legislative assistant, Allie Feaster Smith. Thank you, Allie. Well, I'm not thinking Star Wars at all. I'm thinking zombie apocalypse. No way. It was not David. You know it wasn't David Montgomery. David ain't going to jump off in there with Chris. He ain't going to do it. He'd soon spit on him as he would even look at him. Man, this is a Mickey D's Krispy Kreme week. Didn't you know? Who's paying y'all? And if you're driving on the roads, are you safe?
It's on the road, yeah.
Well, I know you're on the road, but I mean, is this all folks coming from the border down there?
Yeah, it's going to border. It's actually going to Mexico, the buses.
Doesn't mean they interpret it the same way that I do. For instance, the Second Amendment. I take it very literally. That's been interpreted different ways in the court system all the way up to SCOTUS. Yeah, that's only going to cause more division that he claims he doesn't want to cause. And it's only going to cause more suspicion. We're still right now combined on both pages and YouTube at 264 people watching. That is amazing, folks. Coleman Project, the Walker Place deal, through conscious, shocking action. The purpose of their actions was to stop plaintiffs, being the Ewell, Coleman, and associated groups not, from developing Walker Place. But here's the key thing, which in turn would enrich sitting city council members Scott Irwin and David Montgomery Jr.
You hit the button. Does that mean that people are seeing us sitting here talking and chatting?
In theory, it's an every week thing. We got to double check and make sure it's like a miracle any of this actually works. This Bossier Watch live broadcast is brought to you by the Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 25 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting. Reach out to Julie Ferris. Transact Card. Unleash the power of your spending with Z-Bucks. Contact Renee Hall. Smarter Geek. Making technology easier. And folks sharing information and watching out for Bossier. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. And here we are again, 179 plus shows later, and literally thousands of hours.
Thousands of hours. Well, I feel like
thousands of hours of our lives sitting here talking into mics, staring at a screen and a camera. Think about that.
Well, look, we're sharing those hours with folks, and they're sharing those hours with us.
Good point. Good point. Mutually shared destruction.
I guess. So I haven't seen anybody guess the correct answer to the $50 million question in the comments.
Yeah. I haven't seen that either. Some people are trying to, let's see, looks like Paul Black's trying to get there maybe, but he said new library. Yes, David Johnson, we did say 50 million. So, yeah, y'all got to give us some answers in the comments.
Yep, y'all keep going. I mean, we'll get it out. Y'all keep guessing. Expand your thoughts, because I'm not seeing anybody really close there yet so far. But yeah. So, what is on deck right out of the gate? Where do we want to go?
I don't know. I mean, there's the city council meeting, which would really be the first point, the Manchac Renewal, but there was obviously a lot more that went on at the city council meeting. As a matter of fact, folks, they had to take a 15-minute intermission during the meeting to gather themselves and get their wits about them.
Yeah, that was, I don't know that I've seen that happen before where they take a 15-minute intermission. I don't know.
All right, so Larry James Hawkins says, say the question again. And Shane Cheatham has said, upgrade to water treatment and nanofiltration. All right, what's the question?
Okay. There is a $50 million project in Bossier being proposed to utilize taxpayer dollars to build another project.
Interesting. Another project.
And only right answers, get recognized. So
we got an answer here. Tahoes for employees. Yes, it's free Tahoe Day instead of Taco Day. Tahoe Day.
Humorous ones we'll enjoy. But
Barry Butler watching from South Dakota. What are you doing in South Dakota, Barry?
Well,
Ah.
I'm not seeing it. I'm thinking that nobody actually knows what the new $50 million project in Bossier is. I mean, I'm blown away
I
that,
don't even know. So I'm sitting here just anxious as I can be to find out myself.
I think you know. You do know, didn't I tell you?
You kind of told me, but I mean, I don't really have that many details. Does it
Oh, that's
involve
right.
does it involve beer?
Probably. There's probably beer.
As in, who was that sang that song? Toby Keith.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
See,
You're
that's
right.
that's a clue, folks. It's
That
50
is a
million
clue.
bucks. That is a
That is a
clue.
clue.
It's
There's
right
a
there in front
song.
of you.
There's a song about that.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, let's see. It was Toby Keith and Willie Nelson. Wasn't it?
Was it Willie Nelson? I don't know.
Yeah.
I wasn't a big Willie fan.
I think he was on it. I have to go back and look. Yeah. So
Yeah,
anyway, all right. Well, we'll discuss it here in a second. So, before we do that, and before we get into this city council meeting, I've got a little 15-second clip that was sent to us. And if you want me to say who it is, let me know in the comments, and I'll be glad to say. But anyway, it was sent to us, and I didn't even catch it in the meeting. So I want to share this out we'll play it here for just a second, and then we'll get back and decide what we're going to do. All right, so pay attention here.
And I was demeaned.
All right, listen carefully.
No God.
Good afternoon.
No God. No God. No God. No God. And I was demeaned.
Did you catch that?
Okay, but I got a question.
Yep.
Were they saying, "Oh God," about
Oh God.
Colonel Crockett, or was they
Well,
saying, "Oh God," because Wes Marriott was coming to the mic?
I'm just guessing because I hadn't really analyzed it. It was not long before the show. I think it was "Oh God" because Marriott was coming up there. But let me play it one more time. Here we go.
And I was demeaned. No God.
Good afternoon.
No God. No God.
Are they? They think Wes is God now?
I guess I could so take that clip and come up with some little rap song along with other clips from today's meeting and prior meetings with Queen David. And anyway.
So we've got to determine, are we renaming Colonel Crockett to "Oh God," or are we naming Wes Marriott to "Oh God"?
I don't know, but Danielle says I often say that too when he walks into the room.
So when we go through the video, we're going to say, okay, and God had something to say about this.
Exactly. So, oh, that is awesome. Yes, Robbie Gilbert says, "Oh God." Greg Bell says both.
All right.
And Thomas Shea says "West for the win." So anyway, all right. So back to our regularly scheduled programming here. I figured that would kind of get the ball rolling on this whole thing.
So what's the deal on this Manchac renewal? Does everybody know what took place today? Does everybody know what this was about with Manchac?
Well, first of all, I mean, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Tommy finally called for the audit, complete audit. He's fulfilling a campaign promise, a complete audit of Manchac.
Did he
deal
do
with
that?
Manchac.
Did he really do that?
Did he?
I don't know that he did.
Has he ever done? Has he even mentioned it?
I don't know. I'm dying to know. But hey, this Manchac thing, how did this originate? So how it originated is my understanding is that they're bucking for a 30% increase in pay.
Ooh, really? And I want to say, let me add one thing in. I forgot to post it. I shared out the agenda a couple of days ago when Phyllis released it, and then they released an amended agenda, which included new business item number 3, which I think was the Manchac discussion. So literally, they forgot it in the first agenda released. They did get it in time, to be fair. But it was added to the agenda later, or they forgot it somehow. I don't know. So, like, this whole meeting from the get-go, out of the gate, was a circus.
Okay, God has spoken in the comments and corrected to say that it's a 66% increase. And I'm not going to debate with God, but I would say
We're
it's
going to
a
get struck by lightning.
it's a astronomical increase regardless, or any way you cut it. And the only justification that I know that, or would think that they could say, would be that, oh, cost of living or inflation. But you know what?
That's a lot of inflation.
There's a lot of inflation, but I haven't heard anybody on the council say that the firemen and the policemen or the other city employees, in fact, I hadn't heard anybody say that all of them are being affected by inflation. Who knew that inflation only affected the wealthiest company trying to get money out of the city? Who knew?
Who knew? So, I don't even know where to go with that. It just seems to me that they are trying, and I don't blame them. I mean, I'm a business guy. Like I say all the time, I'm a capitalist. I'm a capitalist pig. But it just seems that they are trying to get their tentacles into everything. Remember, they tried to get their tentacles, and heck, they may have, in the Cypress District, too.
Oh, they already done that. They already done that. I mean, but look, look, this is a pressing matter, Rex. I mean, this contract of Manchac's doesn't expire for 7 months. By gosh, we got to get this on the front end right now. I mean, it's going to expire in 7 months. We got to get it done right now.
Yeah, got to hurry up and spend the money.
So you got Restream ginned up?
Yes, sir, I do. Let me pull up one screenshot real quick, though, because I meant to have it loaded for the notes. Give me just a sec here. Show file. Let me drop it in there.
Oh, Jessica Langley Maddox, don't worry. I mean, exactly. No pay raises for employees, no extra dollars for Manchac. Oh, don't worry. Actually, it's a pay cut for employees and extra dollars for Manchac. So I corrected it there for you. Pay cut for employees, extra dollars for Manchac.
All right. So before we actually go to the meeting, though, I shared this out on Bossier Watch's Facebook page the other day. And I just wanted everybody to know, in case you weren't already aware, that, look, here's the justification right here for the pay increase. Not only is Mr. Ben Ruttenbuck, not only is he the city engineer, he wears many hats, Duke, including being the utilities director. That's per the mayor, good mayor. So, I mean, come on, the guy's wearing a bunch of hats. Surely they need more money.
I mean, how is he doing that? And the guy is doing the port and he's doing the Cypress District. I mean, how can he be in all those places at the same time? They have figured out it's got to be cloning. It's got to be
He's Superman
cloning.
or the Flash.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
See, I would say Batman, but he doesn't have that many cool gadgets that he brings to the meeting, so it's got to be either Superman or the Flash. I would say Superman. Not
got to
the Flash. He talks too slow.
I don't know.
To be the Flash.
It can't be Superman. I mean, he I'm not going to go there. I'll offend somebody. I'm going to stop. We'll get kicked off, and nobody will be able to know what the $50 million for. So I got to watch my mouth here.
And folks, don't let us forget. We'll have to reveal that. Let's see. Andy Monica says per month. Yes, that's per month. Let's see. Well, how much was it, Duke? 196,000 or something per month. It's almost 200,000. Round it up. What's a few $100,000 or a few thousand between friends?
Well, God says one set of numbers. Jeff Sadow says one set of numbers, and I got to be honest, I've got a different set of numbers than what they have. But at the end of the day, the figure is $100,000 to $150,000 a year, with an increase that will move it into excess of $200,000 per month, not per year, per month to Manchac.
A bunch of money.
A bunch of money. And, there's no end in sight. And I think we got to go to the video and we got to play some of the commentary that took place right out of the gate here in the council meeting, because I think folks need to see this and understand this. And just so y'all know, at the right here at the end of this debate of the council meeting, we're going to share some information with you that came to us anonymously that is quite concerning. And in the beginning of the show, we said that it's information that may may even reach to our nation's capital, because
that
it's
sounds
information.
intriguing.
It's information that could affect a lot. And if and we're gonna have to, before we present that information, Rex, I mean, we're gonna have to give a little background on our decision to go ahead and share that, because we had to do some contemplation on whether or not we in fact even share this information. Um,
Yeah, and how we present it.
yeah, and how we present it, because it is it's some pretty heavy stuff, and you'll see why, and you're going to be able to have your opinion as to how you view it. But I got a feeling the majority of you are going to feel the same way as I do about it. But
Yeah,
anyway,
probably so. All right. So, and just to be clear, Jeff said, "Oh well." There's all kinds of comments scrolling through here, but anyway, he says started at 130,000 on June 1st of 2021, increased over the next 2 years to 169,000. Now want 195,000 starting 6/1 of 24. That is per month. Per month. What do we get? What do we get for that? Does anybody know in the comments? King David, you'll hear Queen David, you'll hear him say in a little while that they had done a study about how much money Manchac saves and all that. But what do we get for that 169 or 195,000 or whatever the number is? What do we get for that? Does anybody know?
I don't know. Apparently, they have a report to where they can tell you exactly how much taxpayer dollars they're saving and how much money they're, saving the citizens of Bossier, and it's worth it, and it all makes sense. But I don't know. I haven't seen it. In fact, I don't know that Brian Hammonds to date has received that audit for every penny that he requested, even on the Walter O. Bigby carriageway.
Weston says we get 16 Manchac executives. So do we pay, and I don't want to go off too far in the tangent, but let us know in the comments. So obviously, I doubt that Ruttenbuck's out there grabbing a shovel all the time. So are we employing other Manchac employees to do certain projects that we also have to pay for? Or how does this deal work? I've never looked into the whole structure of this Manchac deal. I was hoping that Tommy would actually do his audit for us, the taxpayers, but
Well, the interesting thing is I've got a couple of cuts in the folder that we're going to be able to show here in a little bit that will answer that question right there for you of how Manchac is able to save the city so much money and make money.
Well, I'm just giddy with excitement. All right, so shall we start with the city council meeting?
Yep, let's go.
All right, here we go, folks.
Good afternoon, West Marriott Sobo Live, 4330 Panther Drive. I'd like to address a matter of process and principle concerning the integrity of our city's governance. Item 3 under new business agenda concerning the contract extension for Manchac Consulting Group has been included in a manner that's not only procedurally flawed, but ethically questionable. The agenda fact sheet presented is an outdated version. It's not reflective of the current software used to manage and regulate the flow of approvals for a potential city business. Due to this, the agenda item has bypassed essential protocols and approvals. It has not been approved by the mayor, reviewed by the city attorney, nor scrutinized by the finance director. You need only look at the agenda item fact sheet to see all of those signatures are missing. The absence of their input is a glaring omission that undermines the very foundations of our city's checks and balances. To exacerbate matters, this item was submitted after the original agenda was published, failing to meet the established deadlines for submissions. This council previously held firm on such deadlines, as evidenced by just a few months earlier when the mayor's agenda item for term limits was excluded on the grounds of being filed too late. Consistency in upholding our rules and deadlines is crucial to the fair and orderly operation of our city's business. Given these significant procedural oversights and the precedent set by this council's adherence to submission deadlines, I urge you, with the utmost respect, to remove item 3 from new business from today's agenda. To proceed with it would not only be
All right, we'll stop there.
I don't know why I can't hit start and pause at the thing, but either way.
Well, you can. So I can hold on a second. I can do the live review, and that
So
should allow either one of us to. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
So anyway, you remember, you know, when Tommy put up the term limits petition, they immediately jumped up and said, "Oh, you didn't get it put in time. You know, no, we can't do that." That was the point he was making, and they beat it down. But for some reason, this was able to get on the agenda and get put in there, and you know, Wes called him out on it.
All right. Yeah, he did, and yeah, he did. I don't even know what I was going to say, so I don't even have anything to ad lib so far.
Well, so the Colonel comes up with a pretty good one here, and this one is pretty revealing, guys, because I mean the Colonel, look, love him to death, but he had a pretty good catch right here. Y'all listen to this.
It's flawed for another reason. Bossier City's Charter, Section 2, 161. Y'all may have already considered this, but it says in there on paragraph A, specified period, unless otherwise provided by law, a contract for supplies or services may be entered into for periods of not more than 3 years. This is for 4 years, so it's inherently flawed for that reason also. I think there are
Okay.
Did you stop it?
I did.
Okay.
It was like double echoing to me. Was everybody else hearing that?
It sounded clean to me, but
okay.
How did it sound to everybody else?
Maybe you do need to drive. Anyway, Colonel Crockett pointed out that this contract is for 4 years, and the charter says that you can't do a contract but for 3.
So, and there was, I think there's some upcoming discussion about that. Now, I trust Colonel Crockett, of course, but I mean, did Jacobs or anybody have anything to say about that, or did they just gloss over it?
Well, they did, and actually, Hambone jumps up and makes a motion right out of the gate to continue the deal.
Okay, so you want to jump up to that?
Yeah, let's jump up to that because he actually he ended up winning this thing. So go ahead.
Right, here we go.
Then I'd like to make a motion that we continue this item until I don't know what the date is, our first meeting in 2024, to give us all a little bit more time. The mayor, I see that he did not even sign off on this at all, recommending it or not.
Yeah, he's calling Tommy out here. I didn't see the mayor sign off on it.
Discussion on this.
All right, so jump ahead to the next.
Charles, did y'all
So what ends up
14.
happening? Yeah, what ends up happening is there's a little bit of dialogue takes place, and somebody says, "Well, I didn't hear a second on his motion," and Chris immediately seconds, and so then Bubba Don ends up finally getting to speak. And go ahead and start there.
All right. Did y'all get anyway? So, I could still say something now. Yeah. I know it was late getting things done that week. Last week. It was like, I know Friday or so. Did y'all get a chance to go through it?
Yes, I have reviewed it.
And you're okay with it?
I think it meets all the legal criteria if the council wishes to vote on it for approval.
And it was presented in plenty of time. I mean, it was presented actually before the deadline, but it was just, I couldn't get anybody to sign off on it, so.
If somebody doesn't know, it goes.
That didn't sound good. I mean, just on its face. When Phyllis says I couldn't get anybody to sign off on it, that's not looking good for the dark side over there.
No, not at all. Not at all. So, Tommy didn't sign off on it, but go ahead and keep playing here because he ends up asking Tommy, and Tommy weighs in on it.
Goes through every department, and every department approves it. So, Mayor, did you?
Well, I appreciate what Ben and Manchac has done for the city. They've been a great asset for the public utilities and engineering, and I really appreciate them. Last week,
and I would be remiss if I didn't pause it for a second and remind everybody that one of Tommy's campaign platforms or planks or whatever was literally calling for an audit with Manchac because Manchac had to be something going on. So I just want to remind everybody of that. All right, here we go.
I asked to delay the decision on the contract, and I'm asking again today to, delay the agreement. I will work with Councilman Manchac, as much as I can to make this agreement go for the best of the citizens of Bossier City.
Can I ask you if there was a reason to delay it or what?
Yes, sir. This stuff was coming together, and I saw some numbers, and I've talked with Ben about this. And, there was numbers, and I just wanted to have another couple more weeks to go over it.
Listen to the last part of what he
It's
says.
kind of like being pushed at me all of a sudden.
Right there.
And then I saw some things I didn't see before, and I've talked it over with Ben.
No,
And,
what is, you can stop it there. It's being pushed on me, and I saw some things that I haven't seen before.
Well, where did that stuff come from?
That's some interesting comments. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's a 30 to 60%, as God says, increase. I mean,
the lightning's gonna hit you first and travel through the interwebs and hit me too, and we're just gonna be done. All right.
I mean,
go ahead.
look, maybe Tommy wants it explained to him how it is that inflation is only affecting Manchac and not every policeman, fireman, and city worker in Bossier City. Maybe he's wanting a little bit of time for that to be explained to him. I get it.
Well, is this the part where Queen David jumps on his high horse?
Well, I think he does quite a bit, but he didn't quite completely get up. He just basically grabbed the horn on his saddle, getting ready, but he didn't quite jump up there just yet. But Chris Smith had to chime in, and he had to get some 2 cents in there, and I think it was worthy of us playing it real quick.
All right, so we want to jump ahead to the Chris Smith mark?
Yeah.
All right, let's jump ahead just a touch. Here we go.
Mr. President, may I have the floor? I just have a question for the city attorney. The city charter says that only the mayor can hire and fire, and I would assume by adopting this contract, Manchac as the recipient of it would become, as they are today, the department head for both public utilities and the city engineering office. So by voting on it today without the mayor's approval, would we be taking that away from the mayor's job and violating the city charter? Because whether pass or fail, we're making the decision on the future of the directorship of public utilities and city attorney without his approval. So I don't see how a city council member can do that.
Well, the contract can certainly be proposed, and it would, if it would pass by majority vote, but I do agree with you that the mayor has the ultimate authority then to either accept or reject as a entity, a commercial entity, as a department head.
Jacob's actually standing up for the mayor?
Violating the authority of the mayor.
Sound like it to me.
To take it up, but certainly the mayor would have the ultimate say as to whether or not, the contract would be accepted as the de facto head of engineering and/or public utilities.
I think the Queen, you can stop it. I think the Queen, when you seen him just roll his head back, he might have realized the consequence of what their city attorney just said.
Maybe.
Maybe. But you know what?
Knowing them, they had it all planned out beforehand.
Maybe so. But I got to tell you, I'm not convinced that alone with Charles giving the mayor the blessing that if he wants to nix it or not nix it, I'm not convinced that that's enough.
So, shall we jump ahead to the 28-minute mark? Let's see.
I think not. From that point right there, we're going to have to. No. I think that moves on to a little bit of a different subject. But what I do think we need to do is we need to refresh everyone's memory here just a little bit. and we need to take a walk down memory lane. And let me see if maybe you want to pull it up. There's a link in the comments, or I
Comments?
can not in the comments. My apologies. All right, I shared screen.
Okay.
Of an announcement made on September 7th of 2023.
Yes.
So, how many of you guys recall that, a little company called Wagner Engineering bought Manchac Consulting Group, right?
Not long ago, apparently.
Not long ago. And, we talked about it briefly on our show, and we didn't go heavily in depth to it, but that there were going to be some changes, that Ruttenbuck was going to be taking on a different role. The Justin Haydell guy was going to be taking on a different role, and you can see down here in these comments, you see Attack Up Us Services, blah, 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 just talking about the kind of the different companies. And you made a statement earlier, and this is where we'll go to those cuts. And you talked about, and the question would pose, well, how can Manchac, if it's such a great deal, and the Queen advocates that, look, they save us all this money, they save us all this money, how is it that they can do it, whereas they cut, I think, 40 employees from the city originally, and a couple of more since then? How is it that it's so much of a better job? How can they do it with human assets, for so much less and so much savings? How can they do it? How is it even
Well,
possible? I don't get it.
Now, I would be remiss if I didn't remind you we're supposed to be conservative Republicans, and, not that we expect everybody who watches a show to be, but we're supposed to be for less government. So the opposite end of that spectrum is you're trying to say that the city could do it more efficiently.
No, I mean,
Gotta be careful there,
I
Skippy.
know, I agree, but I'm going to invoke Ronald Reagan here, account and verify. That's
okay.
what I'm going to. But in that vein, if you'll go to cut 1 and 2, I'm going to show you the answer to that question.
Okay, so let me go to cut 1. Oh.
And you know where that picture was taken?
I do not recognize that. Where would that have been taken?
In my parking lot of my office at Ye Olde Acadiana Mortgage.
Really?
Yes, sir, Bob.
What were they doing there?
I have no idea, but they were sure using my parking lot. And then if you'll cut to the next cut, you'll see another asset of Attack Up Us Services. Oh, there's a super vac truck.
Great.
So, and I don't know what it is they're dumping in the middle of the street out there, but it looks like water. Maybe it's sewer. I have no idea. But the point being is, and a lot of people, y'all may not realize it, but that particular truck, that is what's called a super vacuum truck. And I used to have 2 of them.
I would be remiss if I didn't point out the irony or the hilarity of potentially a city contracting service dumping sewage in your parking lot.
Well, I don't know that it's sewer. I don't actually know. This was actually somebody that pulled up in the parking lot of our office, took the pictures. They couldn't understand why the operator is at the back of the truck in the middle of the street right there in front of my office. The van is in my parking lot. The supervac truck, is in the street right there to the side of my office, and you see all the water or wet underneath it. I don't know if it was water or if it was sewer. I really don't know which it is, but what I do know is the operator's out of the back of the truck tending to something in the back. Well, these are vacuum jetter trucks. They send like a jet thing to blow out the poop in the line, and then they got the vacuum boom up there to vacuum all the poop up into the tank.
There's so many jokes I could make about this happening in your parking lot and it not being coincidental. But anyway.
But here's the thing. Here's what I want y'all to know. I used to have 2 of these trucks and worked them in Ohio, West Virginia, and up in the Dakotas in the oil field. And here's the thing, Rex. You know what we used to bill for those trucks and what we got paid for them?
Sure, it was.
$365 an hour.
Huh. So
Now,
let's follow the bouncing ball here. Wagoner Engineering Group buys out, does a merger, whatever, with Manchac, which also includes this, how do we say it? Atacapa? Whatever? I don't know. Anyway, group. And now they're showing up as contractors for the city. We're just throwing dollars
yeah.
around, doing a shell game of money.
Well, rather than that being a city employee and a city-owned supervac truck out there doing it, that wouldn't be costing the city $365 an hour. I mean, you're paying a third party to do that, but who's making the determination to pay this third party to do that? Well, I'm thinking that that's not going to show up in the $146 to $200,000 per month bill. This is going to be in another bill. This ain't,
Yeah.
you're not going to see this expense in there.
Well, and that's what I was asking earlier. To be clear, because I'm not completely clear on the deal, is the $190 something thousand covers the, what was it, 12 or 16 whatever employees, the executives, Ruttenbuck and his guys, but we're also additionally paying if they have to have their crews come in and do certain stuff, right?
Exactly, but they're dictating. Okay. I mean, I think they are dictating where and who gets work or what have you, and that's where they're making the money.
Right. Okay. So Cindy gets it. Duke, it looks like they're sending you a message, and Danielle Marriott says, I'm surprised that our house hasn't been a dumping site yet. Well, that's only because he might, being God, he could strike them down with lightning, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, I better stop while we're ahead.
But Rex, that's just part of it. We all kind of knew that this is some of what's going on here, but so I think everyone needs to consider and widen their thoughts on this whole situation just a little bit. I'm wondering, does everybody really believe, do you think that your city officials, do y'all think that they're actually looking at the numbers? Do you think they're actually vetting all of this and that they truly 100% know that this is what's best for the citizens of Bossier? And as the people who are responsible for your water and your sewer, for providing that public service to you, are they doing their due diligence to ensure that it's as safe as it possibly can be? Do you all believe that and think that?
I think here's my 2 cents on this is, first of all, and I've alluded to this before, but I don't really blame Manchac for trying to get their tentacles as far in as they can. They're in business to make money. Now, it's on the city council if the city council approves all of this, and apparently they have. Now, do I think that, any city councilman other than Queen David is sitting there counting all his dollar signs? How is this vacuum truck, going to make a certain city councilman any money? I don't think they're necessarily sitting down calculating that when they make these decisions. I just don't think that they realize the full scope of what this is. It's not just the $195,000 a month or $169,000 or whatever it's going to be.
I agree, and I think you're right. And Jessica Langling Maddox says, do you really need to ask that question? Jessica, yeah, actually, you kind of do. And what we're fixing to share with you, we struggled with sharing what we're fixing to share with y'all. And, but, someone sent it to us anonymously, and we think that it needs to be known. We all acknowledge that we all have different political philosophies. We don't always agree on everything, but in the context of this issue, the city of Bossier, your elected officials, have entrusted your water, and it's the majority of Bossier Parish, have entrusted your water to a private company to provide you water services. So therefore, if they're going to provide you those services, they're responsible for ensuring that it's secure, it's safe, and there's not going to be any harm or no health hazard. Not to mention that there's other considerations. We only have the largest Air Force base, bomber base in the world right here, which is a major consideration, so we got this anonymous email sent to us. Rex,
Yes.
you want to chime in here and have some 2 cents on it?
Yeah, so
Did I do okay so far?
I think you're soft pedaling it pretty good, and you're right. Here's how I'll frame this. This was an email that was sent to us. Proton mail is a wonderful thing. From none other than the New Engineering Group. All right, and we'll show who it is and reveal who it is in a minute. And here's what's interesting about this is this guy apparently has a real problem with the situation going on over in the Gaza Strip. Now, I understand. I get it. Look, we've made no bones about it. Duke, I think you would agree with me. We're both mostly on the side of Israel, if not completely on the side of Israel. But there are two sides to this equation, no matter if you are completely pro-Israel. And so in this email, I know the font's kind of small, and I'm not going to read the whole thing. We will post it later. But this guy talks about, he's originally from Palestine. His dad's family is from Gaza. Let me see if I can get this bigger on my screen so I can actually see it. Hold on just a second. I realize it'll be difficult for y'all.
Everybody's scratching their heads saying, what? We were talking about Manchac and Bossier City water, and now we're talking about Palestine and Gaza. What is going on here?
and so, let me kind of clue everybody in. Let me put the little pointy finger up. If you look, this is from Imad Al-Turk at Wagoner Engineering or WagonerENG.com. Okay, that's important to remember. And so that's the segue into why we're mentioning the Palestinian and Gaza Strip situation and Israeli situation. Okay? So, but he's sending this out to whoever in the company and all that. And, look, he's entitled to his opinion and all that. He says some stuff in here that are undisputable facts. There are lots of Palestinians being killed. That's an indisputable fact, and all that. Where I have a problem with it is right here where we see the yellow highlighting. Right here. He says, this is not war against Hamas. It is ethnic cleansing of 2.5 million Palestinians. And so that goes from just emailing his co-workers and all that about the situation in Palestine. That, to me, changes the game when he says it's an ethnic cleansing and not just a war against Hamas. Yeah, I understand there's lots of collateral damage, unfortunately, on both sides. But that one statement is what changes the game to me as far as this email goes.
Okay, and the email goes on, and which, don't get me wrong, that one I find egregious. But what troubles me a little bit more is when you go on through this and it talks more about this makes the U.S. policy against world opinion and in the wrong side of history by enabling this continued genocide. Basically, this person is articulating that the U.S., by default, is committing genocide by enabling Israel to commit genocide.
Right.
So
now, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
All right. And so, again, to me, that's when you start mentioning genocide and equating what Israel, the actions that they're taking to genocide, and the U.S. by extension committing genocide, that becomes a problem. Notice again down here in this highlighted yellow area at the bottom, for the victims of this genocide, this person, Ahmad al-Turk, he felt obliged to take like 30 days off to go over to advocate for marginalized communities. Hey, that's great and fine. But again, for the victims of this genocide. Now, here's the interesting thing. He is the CEO of water, municipal, and disaster recovery platforms for Wagner Engineering.
Well, he's
so
basically
it's not just the disposal truck, vac truck guy that's emailing us around.
This is the CEO of Manchac, right?
Basically,
Manchac,
yeah. I mean,
Wagner, they're all one company. This is the CEO. And basically, he believes that the U.S. by default is, committing genocide, enabling Israel to commit genocide. Now,
all right,
the guy may be a great guy, but I'm just saying, is that who I want? With all of the plans of the water systems, in control of the water in Bossier, do I have confidence that Manchac, with a person like this and these views, to be handling all of the water, especially one that handles the largest bomber base, or should I say the largest
B-52
ethnic or genocidal base in the world? I mean,
here's the real
am I
question.
wrong? Am I wrong to be concerned about this?
No, it's something that should at the very least stop and give you pause to think about. And here's my big question with this. Does anybody at the city council even know about this? Is it going to be discussed at any of the meetings before they decide to give them $190,000 a month?
Or does it even matter? Does no matter what, it matters whether or not money has changed hands or not? I mean, is security a consideration? Does any elected official even consider security?
Look, I want to be crystal clear. I'm not at this point saying this guy's going to go out and inject something into the water system. But again, at the very least, this should be vetted.
At the very least.
Somebody's got some explaining to do.
I don't think anybody, I would be willing to bet nobody in Bossier City even knows this.
Well, and here's the deal is, again, it's not that he's, on the side of the Palestinians and he's going over there to go help with the situation as best he can. Look, I get that. I would support him in that, but it's the fact that he mentions multiple times that this is genocide and equates the U.S. to genocide.
And
that draws the line with me.
He's taken action to do something about it. What are the limits there of what action he would take? I mean, and you can't say this. I mean, he founded an organization, and he's been at it for 22 years. Working through the International Museum of Muslim Cultures, which I co-founded 22 years ago to develop an exhibition.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let me see if I can zoom out. And I apologize because it was a lengthy email. I didn't put all that. Let's see. Anyway, in it. All right. So, let's see. Jessica Langley Maddox, has this been sent to DEQ? We're not sure if anybody beyond who he sent it to at the Wagner Engineering Group and whoever else, we're not sure if any of them have seen it. D.D. White Clark, I think the news outlets need to know about that email. We'll be posting it on Bossier Watch on the Facebook page after the show. Man, look, it's up to y'all to decide. I'm not saying he's going to go poison the water. I'm just saying this should give you pause to think.
I mean, because I don't think anybody on this council considering extending the Manchac contract has even considered anything pertaining to the Wagner Group or who they're owned by or if they are or any of the changes. I don't think that they even freaking read the contracts. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, I would I would say that they don't. Okay.
But if they're not, I'm thinking that, some I see in the comments, some people, I think there's some other people that will have interest, and probably will vet this. If they won't do it, somebody else will.
Reach out to your city council person. Reach out to, let's see, who are the at-large? Queen David and Chris Smith. They're the at-larges. Reach out to your other council members. Reach out to the mayor. Ask them if they even knew about this. Ask them what they think about this. All right. So there it is. Y'all can decide.
I don't know where we're at now.
I have no idea either. I don't even know. Do you want
So
to hear? Do you want to hear "Oh God" again?
So if all else fails, we go back to the notes.
Yeah.
All right. So we know the why that Atakapa, they're making money in different ways. So what exactly happened? How did the vote go? I mean, I think if I recall correctly, they postponed it and they didn't vote for it at all.
I think so, if I remember correctly. We're at the 19-minute mark. Let me hit play and let's see where we actually are. Let's see.
Reiterate, we're just introducing today. We're not passing nothing. We're not hiring or firing. We're just introducing today.
Correct.
Yeah, actually.
This is a pretty good
I'll
exchange
reserve
right here, if I
comments
remember
then
right.
For when it comes on to the agenda.
Mayor, are you comfortable with introducing it today and having 2 weeks to review it and then?
That's what I was asking, was 2 weeks anyway, so, and David pointed out that I'll have 2 weeks, But I want to be able to discuss it with y'all again.
And then extending it if you need more time on the next meeting?
Yes, sir.
You're comfortable with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hey,
Mr.
at
President.
least they even asked Tommy that. I got to give Free a little credit there.
David is so willing, if you'll just vote for it on the first reading, to give you 2 weeks to the next meeting to think about it so that we can just pass it at the second. He's such a great guy.
Yeah, he's so nice. All right. So let's see. Where shall we go from here? Let me hit play.
I think I've got a motion with a second, if we're going to vote on that.
Yes. Any additional comments?
Would you repeat the motion again?
To continue this item until, Phyllis, I don't know what the
January
date is to our first meeting in 2024,
It'll be January 2nd.
January the 2nd.
All right, the motion to extend until January 2nd, 2024.
Public
For a
comment.
first and a second, discuss your vote.
Public comment.
We commented on it already.
Yeah, let's fast forward.
Yeah,
here.
let's fast forward this. Now, I do want to point out one quick thing, so kind of segue for a second. Robert Gilbert says, did y'all hear about the confrontation on the airline at East Texas today? Gentleman was holding an Israeli sign, and the employees of Consumer Auto Sales were across the street holding up Palestine signs and flipping off the other gentleman. Little confrontation going on here in Bossier. Okay, shall we jump ahead to
Yeah, now I hate this because we're going to miss some parts. But just the 28:59 mark.
Okay. Here we go.
Several questions about, I tried to keep up with what you were saying, but I might need hearing aids.
What we're talking about, if you hit pause real
When were
quick,
these?
What we're talking about is there were approximately 11 amendments submitted to the council today for approval to the budget. Well, apparently not everybody had an opportunity to see these amendments. In fact, a lot of people didn't have any knowledge of or know anything about these amendments. But as you'll see going forward, that's our story and we're sticking to it, but they kind of got called out. In fact, God spoke on this one too.
These amendments made to the budget.
These are what we discussed, and then, we did discuss them with all the council members that attended.
I was there.
Right, and then we did have some adjustments that were requested.
Right, we did.
We
Remember?
made
Don't you
those
remember?
And then followed up with those adjustments. I think it
Again,
was
these are
a Friday
proposed,
that
proposed amendments, Mr. Hammonds, I mean, you were there at the meeting, and it's not as if these are going to be in stone. There's a reason that we introduce and then give
Just
time,
wait.
2 weeks, if more time is needed and that more amendments need to be made or some amendments taken off.
Our
then
words
that's the
inbound.
whole purpose of the introduction, is for discussion to be made and analysis done on the proposed amendments to balance the budget. It isn't as if this is going to be the final budget. I mean, this process it's laid out, and that's what we're following. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. I mean, we feel like we did everything by the book, and that we were very open and transparent with council regarding these changes. And additionally, just given the charter requirement for the adoption of the budget by December 15th, delaying.
I want to take a second to pause right there and also help kind of break up the monotony of their voices. But do you notice something with this shot right there, Duke? There's a few folks sitting in the chairs.
I did notice that. And the same goes for the last meeting. There was quite a few folks still sitting there. I mean, it's getting good down there.
Yeah, it certainly is. All right, people are paying attention. Good job, everybody. All right, here we go.
It would potentially create an issue there, but these were, like I said, these were, I mean, it was the mayor's proposed budget, and then these were amendments that were discussed and requested and agreed upon.
Mr. President.
Here we go.
I had a budget meeting with the mayor.
Y'all get ready,
If I remember
fireworks
correctly, when we were going to vote on your budget a month ago, you made the comment that Councilman Hammonds, Councilman Smith, and Councilman Free met with you as regards to that budget. Mm-hmm. And since then, that budget has been what has been public. And since then, we have had a public workshop and a public hearing. And I remember asking last week in the public hearing if there were going to be any amendments that we wanted to discuss, and I was told no. I think that was the appropriate time to discuss amendments, because if we're going to be transparent, we had public workshops, we had public hearings to discuss the budget, and we didn't discuss these amendments. And now I'm being asked to vote on something that I can't see in black and white. I mean,
just vote on it, Chris.
Our
Just
state
vote on it.
legislature just got criticized for doing the same thing this session, for voting on something with 10 minutes of not knowing what was in it. I mean, this is not how government's supposed to work. We had these public hearings. We need to vote on the mayor's budget as originally proposed, or we need to delay for 2 weeks and allow these amendments, because I heard maybe 3 things that she said that I've retained in my head. I can't cast a vote on that. I can't cast a vote on something I don't know what I'm voting on. That's bad government. I don't care how you want to spin it. It's bad government.
He
So if
said
somebody
it.
wants to make a second, my motion is to continue this for 2 weeks.
And guess whose blood pressure just went up?
Would it help if we go over these one at a time and ask questions as she proposes?
I would like to see it in black and white.
Okay.
I'd like to take issue with what was just alleged, that we're not voting on a final vote. In 10 minutes, this is going to be passed. So that's not a fair comparison. We are introducing something. What you're referring to was a last-minute passage where the public or anybody didn't have comment. It's quite to the contrary, that you have all the time in the world to take a look at these proposed amendments.
If you'll
and
vote
each
for them.
councilman up here has the opportunity to take that budget and analyze it on his own time.
I've
and
analyzed
see-
the mayor's budget on my own time.
Excuse me, do I have the floor?
Chris, you should have just said,
And I'd ask
so
again
what?
that we caution the public if they'd like to speak. It's like we go through this every time. Respect those, we respect them, we respect y'all when you're up here. I would ask
somebody should have just yelled point of order right there, just for the heck of it. That would have really set him off.
He'd have just called Phyllis in. He'd have just said, Phyllis, bail me out. Phyllis.
Or call the marshals. Hey, real quick. So is it my understanding, and correct me if in the comments if I'm right or wrong, that some marshals were asked at the previous meeting to remove Wes. They did not, and those marshals got reassigned.
Well, it's
Rumor
now that you
has it.
say that. Now that you say that, and I'm looking at the video, it looks like it's two different marshals in there than what I normally see in there.
Very interesting. Okay.
There may be something to that.
All right, here we go.
Ask that you do the same when one of us is speaking. That's all. Simple and fair. So my point is, if a councilman takes it upon himself to do his due diligence and time and take a look at the budget and what may be right and what may be wrong in his viewpoint, based upon his experience, then why in the world would you say it's not right for those amendments to be brought up in front of the public, both here in the audience, on TV, everywhere, being transmitted? There is no better way of being transparent than to bring forth the
Okay.
That's a perfect place to stop it.
It's perfect. Everybody,
listen to me.
Has anybody seen the amendments that he's asking for everybody to vote on right now?
Has the public seen them?
No, nobody's seen them.
Like half the city council hadn't.
The council up there hadn't even seen them, but yet he's saying, it's transparent. We're right here on TV, going to vote on them in front of everybody. We're going to discuss them now. We're sorry that we just put out the budget, and we said this was what we were going to vote on. But now we got these last minute amendments.
Yeah. Well, and like Jeff Sandow points out, but they continued this from September. Then all these last minute changes right up to the deadline. This was a manufactured crisis to rush stuff through. And Queen David's throwing out red herrings all over the place, and they're just flopping around, and he's yelling at them. But it's funny to listen to, so here we go.
Changes that one councilman or other councilman propose. That this is the opportunity for you to speak. This is the opportunity to bring forward something that may not be in agreement with what the original budget was. I don't see how in the world that this is not transparent. The items are right there, and they're being proposed.
Right
and
there.
If you take the time to look at them.
Said right there. So Chris should have Chris, you did a great job, but he should have got up and walked around to the podium with Amanda, and I forget the other girl's name, so that he could look at him. He should have said, oh, okay, let me walk over here and see them because I don't have the damn copies.
Yeah, she's got them right there. I mean, all you got to do is go read them right now.
He should have just went over there and grabbed her copies out of her hands.
And oh, by the way, we're going to vote in 5 minutes. I mean, how transparent you want me to be? That's the best I can do. I'm the king.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. Jessica Langley Maddox says Montgomery is a nut. And Paul Black says, so angry and so fat. All right, here we go.
Over the next week or two, then you would understand them.
Were these budget amendments prepared for the public hearing last week, 7 days ago?
No. And you know the answer to that question.
Okay, wait
That's
a minute.
why you're asking it. You're asking a question you already know the answer to.
Free is just completely checked out of the meeting.
He did ask a question that he already knows the answer to. I'm pretty confident of that because they're basically saying these amendments they didn't know anything about these amendments until this week.
Yeah. And David threw that out there, but Chris should have, and Chris, again, you did a great job, but Chris should have immediately responded with, of course I asked a question that I knew the answer to. It's rhetorical to get you to respond.
Well, Rex, I'm going to throw this one out here real quick for everybody. I mean, you're a business owner. I'm a business owner. A lot of people watching the show, they're business owners. Y'all are, a lot of folks watching the show, you're all familiar with business. You're familiar with budgets and all that stuff. You know what one of the amendments were? It was, what your insurance premiums were going to be for your citizens of Bossier. That's what one of the amendments were. One of the insurance premiums. I mean, here's my question. I mean, we know that we've got to have a budget by December 1st. You're telling me that we just this week, 1 week before we've got to vote on it, realize that, we might ought to figure out what our premium for our insurance is? You just realized this 1 week before? So that one right there alone ought to raise the BS flag to everybody. But there's more than that.
Oh yeah, here we go.
I'm giving you the answer.
Ms. Williamson, were these budget amendments prepared before last Tuesday?
No, sir. What's presented today, it mirrors how the ordinances were originally.
So no
submitted.
decision, no conversations about these amendments happened before last Tuesday?
No, sir.
They just magically
You hear
appeared?
that?
Yeah.
You hear that?
They just magically appeared?
No conversations took place before then.
Somehow I feel like I've fallen off the train here. How does that even happen?
Well, you got to think about a little bit more of the amendments, like, I don't know, maybe the one where all the city employees don't get a 2% cost of living raise. You think that just came up this week? Or maybe they just said, you know what? We're not going to talk about that little gem until, and maybe we can just slide it through this meeting as one of the amendments without talking about it, so that we don't have city employees losing their mind about a 30% increase for Manchac and, a $400,000 tower of tax dollars, but we're going to cut all of the cost of living raises for the city employees. Let's just not put that out there. Let's sleight of hand. Let's put it in as a amendment, and maybe nobody will talk about it at the meeting, and we won't really have to disclose it to everybody. We'll be able to slide it through. And
you bring up a good point. The tower of tax dollars. Darby himself admitted that he didn't take the time to read that, and he wouldn't have passed it if he had read the tower of tax dollars. Yet he's sitting there dead silent on this. And Ashley Bullock has a good comment. She says, wait, the city employees aren't getting a pay raise? Manchac is. They're city employees.
Well, they're not yet. They're not yet, but they're bucking for it. And you got Bubba Williams and you got obviously the King bucking to give Manchac a 30% increase.
Anybody want to take bets on whether Manchac gets the increase?
Well, but here's the thing. The little 2% cost of living raise for the city employees, the 2%, you know what the number I think generally equates to? Around $380,000 to $390,000. That's eerily close to the cost of the tower of tax dollars. So to all the city employees of Bossier, I think your takeaway should be that thank y'all for paying for the statue. I mean, the statue is your cost of living raise.
Yeah, y'all can go by there and admire the statue. Anytime your wife needs something, or you need to go buy some extra groceries, or your kids need something, just take them by the statue and let them look up and admire it.
Inflation's not a thing for y'all, only for Manchac. Just y'all remember that.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, keep going.
Yep, keep going.
If the amendments are not introduced then they cannot be, I mean, they won't be made
No,
available to the public,
explain
correct?
so that the public understands what you brought out December. If we don't do these amendments today, and Phyllis can confirm this, then we have to start over. And automatically, we're not in compliance with the charter, which will be brought up. Why weren't you in compliance? So, I mean, it's the, damned if you do and damned if you don't here. I mean, we have to do this and introduce it so that we don't start over, so that we're not in compliance with the charter obligation.
And on behalf
I
of the
would
administration, we, met and had meetings and discussions, and these were ultimately not, obviously not the mayor's proposed budget. These are the amendments, but that were agreed upon, and we feel like nobody walked away extremely happy, but we felt like that was, that's compromise, and that's what we're presenting in the form of these amendments today.
And for the record, I'm not against compromise, and maybe the mayor's budget wasn't the right way. I'm just asking for an opportunity to see this in black and white before I cast a vote on it. And we all know good and well we can call special meetings with 24 hours notice if we have to pass the budget. We don't have to vote on these on this calendar that we arbitrarily put out. We can call special meetings to vote on the budget if we have to. Shame on us for waiting to the last minute to where we're put in a situation to where we can't be critical. The budget is something that is very quick to point out to myself, Mr. Maggio, Mr. Hammonds as new members as something that you just can't take in 4 terms or 4 years. I mean, it takes years and years and years to understand this budget. So what makes anyone think that if that's the mentality that we have, that it takes years and years and years? That's why we can't have term limits, because by God, we can't lose.
My God, he got term
institutional
limits in there.
knowledge. If that's the case,
Oh,
then
it
how
was,
am I
huh?
expected to understand how all these amendments affect the totality of the budget in just 2 weeks? We're talking out of both sides here. We should have done this the right way. We should have all participated months ago when the mayor called us to his office to go over the budget. We should have made recommendations then. We should have made recommendations and talked about it at a workshop. We should have made recommendations and talked about it at a public hearing, and we should have had the finance director put together a new budget with proposed amendments prior to today's meeting. That is how it should have been done if we're so worried about 3 of the 7 council members not understanding the budget.
And why didn't you do that, Mr. Smith?
Because I had no amendments to the budget.
Why didn't you do what you just said 2 months ago? You just stated, and we can play it back for the record, why didn't we do what you just said, and why didn't you handle it?
What world are you living in, sir? We did. I met with the mayor. Mayor Chandler, did I meet with you
Well,
in
you
your
just
office?
said we
I
should have
participa- I
done.
chaired, excuse me, I have the floor. I
Did-
chaired
No,
the
you don't
workshop.
have the floor. I have the floor.
I participated,
Well,
I
don't y'all
asked
get
a
up and fight
question
about it,
last week
boys.
in the public hearing, if we're going to discuss any possible amendments, because I figured somebody probably had an amendment.
All right, I got to stop right there for a second. Chris grew a set right there. So I've been critical of him for months now about backing down from David, and I got to give him credit where credit's due. He absolutely grew a set and talked right over David. Good job, Chris.
He did. I mean, and look, he's going at it. Why, and if he did sit in front of the mayor and say when he had his meeting, I mean, I remember in a previous thing, the mayor talking about he's willing to sit down with any of the councilmen. And I don't think that they actually went and had dialogue. And I think that's what Chris is talking about. He went over there and asked specifically about amendments and said there wasn't none. And then all of a sudden, at the last minute, we got 11 to 12 amendments.
So look over there real quick. Let me put my little pointy finger up. Take a look at David. I think he's getting a little hot under the collar there. He's kind of tugging at his collar to get it loosened up a little bit after his blood pressure's going up.
Oh, he's thinking, what can I spend $50 million on? What can I spend? That's the only thing that's going to get me out of this stress is I got to spend some money.
True. All right, here we go.
I think that question was answered by Ms. Nottingham and Angela, that there was not any proposed amendment before Tuesday. And I resent the fact you're implying that someone nefariously had this ready to go in your mind, and that's what you're saying.
That's not what's coming
Okay,
out.
then what are you saying? What was the purpose of your argument?
I am saying that
Okay,
we should have been more, we should have had more.
Stop. Put the brakes on. This Free's not even engaged in this at all yet. He's just letting them go at it.
Them other guys don't want no part of it. They want nothing to do with it. They're standing up there like a deer in the headlights. But he just said that you're suggesting that something nefarious, that everybody did know that there were going to be changes or that there was going to have to be something, and everybody made a conscious decision to not talk about it till now. Well, I got to tell y'all, I'm just wondering if there might, there's a lot of people putting in the comments that somebody lied or somebody may not have told the truth or somebody may be fibbing or whatever. It's interesting how Proton Mail works and emails and things kind of come along, but they often do. But here's another one of these. I'm just wondering, we already talked to you about the 2% cost of living. Did they just up and decide, hey, we're not going to give the 2% to everybody? They just decided that this week. They just decided this week that, insurance premiums are going to change. One of the other things is public service and sanitation funds. For some reason, we have to increase fees to increase revenue. So you're telling me that they just this week realized that sanitation, they've got to increase fees? They just discovered this week that they're going to have to increase the cost of trash in Bossier City?
So I've got a question when you say,
and there's been no discussion, Rex. They just figured it out this week.
I've got a question now about the process here, and I wish Queen David in his soliloquy on his soapbox would have educated us all as peon folks out here on this, how the budget process works with the council. So obviously in these meetings, they're not going line by line over each one. Do they have a budget committee? And the budget committee meets and meets with the department heads, and then they submit that to the rest of the council to talk about and discuss and debate, hopefully, in theory, at the actual meetings. How is the budget process supposed to work in theory?
Well, the best of my understanding is that, they have to advertise a budget for a couple of weeks. And I think that's where we end up going here on this whole deal. Maybe it'd be best that we just keep playing and let this thing play out.
Let's let it roll out. Here we go.
Participation amongst us as a council.
That includes
to put
you.
Together. I participated, sir. I was.
Well, then obviously you don't know what you're doing when it comes to the budget.
You're right. I don't know. So how am I going to know in 2 weeks?
I guess you just study.
Oh,
Mr. President, I call for the question. I have a motion with a second. So I call for the question.
What's your motion?
I motion to postpone this for 2 weeks.
Free had a giggle in his voice.
That
He woke up.
conversation happened 10 minutes ago. I call for the question and call.
He was about to nod off.
He was enjoying the show like everybody else.
And it's like, I'll just go sit down over here.
David Crockett, 653 Dumaine Drive, Bossier City, Louisiana. Thank you for coming up, Ms. Williamson.
Colonel's
And
got
to
some
the
good
public,
comments here.
The public deserves an apology. You have an agenda item that the public, I looked at.
No, hold on a second, Colonel. Just I know you're in the comments. Got to correct you a little bit there. I want to thank the council I mean, this has given us great entertainment for the night, so it's okay, Colonel.
It is. I mean, there's not many council meetings where you can just click play and it's just nonstop entertainment from beginning to end. You just let it go because there's something
Yeah, I
good
mean,
in everything.
we're keeping about 130 some odd people entertained right now just playing a city council meeting. This is great. All right, here we go.
That and studied, and now you're changing it. That's a violation of the charter, right? I'm supposed to have an opportunity to look at what you're voting on and discussing. Is that correct,
Mr. President?
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So
He was directing his comment and looking and pointing at me and
Oh,
talking.
he was pointing at
this.
He was pointing at me and he looked at me.
He was pointing at me, teacher. He was looking at me.
That's classic.
What a pansy ass. Anyway, here we go.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
So, Brad,
And Crockett's got the blankety blank eating grin on his face like he knew he got
Oh, he
that
knew
was
it.
awesome. Yeah. All right.
and we'll read them again if we have to.
So the point being, how many times are we going to violate the charter in one meeting or attempt to?
Might as well set a record.
This was talked about in September. The council's known that there were budget issues that had to be addressed since September. You can have meetings and discuss an item before you make it a first reading or anything else. But we all care about this. We care about our streets. I care about who to park. I care about other priorities. We don't have a five-year infrastructure plan that I can look at. There are a lot of things that the people need to know what you're trying to, whether it's for nefarious reasons or not, you have a charter. You have a charter that says you need to have a city engineer, Mayor. We need one. We need to save. Instead of spending $1.5 million, that's a part of your budget discussion. Why? Explain it. Why don't we compete our contracts? These are key issues that need to be talked about so that the city can hold you accountable. Thank goodness that you made the arguments, Councilman Smith. And whether I look at a certain councilman or not, you intimidate the public. You will squash participation when you treat people ugly, like I was treated in the last council meeting. You will squash communications when you say things like the participant's not informed or whatever. How many times are you going to do this? How many lawsuits are you going to want to go through because you don't follow the charter?
He walked off.
So anyway, those are my comments. Thank you for your comments, Councilman Smith.
Good afternoon, West Marriott, 4330 Panther Drive.
Do what?
It wasn't at that mark. It was at another part, but that's neither here nor there. Okay.
All right.
So God's speaking, and he has some really good comments too.
Yeah, here we go.
On this particular budget item, I just want to refresh the council's memory. On November 2nd, that's just last week, I served the city and several council members with a public record request requesting for any documents that pertain to a proposed amended budget. The response that I received from Mr. Richard Ray, the Assistant City Attorney, was with regard to the request of Weston Marriott of Sobo Live dated November 2nd on behalf of the City of Bossier and also the custodian of records. There are no records responsive to this request. Additionally, at this time, on behalf of the specific request to the members of the City Council, there are no records responsive to your client's request. My issue, and the irony is not lost on me, Mr. President, that we're asking others not to interrupt, and I've been interrupted here from this podium several times. But the issue that I have is if these proposed amendments existed at any point prior to November 6th, then the city attorney and the city councilmen that I serve this public record request to have been dishonest. November 6th is just 2 days ago. And my concern is if the items that the finance department had just read out existed, why were they not released when I requested for the proposed amended budget. The budget that's in today's agenda is the exact same budget that was in the agenda of October 3rd. Any changes, as Mr. Crockett or Colonel Crockett correctly pointed out, need to be served to the city so they can have time to look at it in accordance with the open meetings law and make their individual comments. Some folks are going to want to.
So
did everybody catch what God just said? God just said, I submitted a public information request on November the 2nd for any proposed changes or amendments, and he got a response back from the city attorney's office yesterday on the 6th, saying there was none. Y'all follow that?
Now,
saying there was none.
I would remind everybody that Richard Ray is maybe not the most gifted lawyer in the world, as we saw, what was it, the last meeting. But still, the point is that there were no records. So essentially, what has happened here is they've been caught in a lie. Again.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, let me look here real quick. So, October 31st, I sent a follow-up to the city attorney's office on a public information request that we filed on October the 10th regarding the Link Coleman suit and the gag order, supposedly on, the city employees, etc. To which, still to this day, we still have not even gotten a response, Rex.
Yeah,
Nothing.
and the heck of it is, and I've forgotten about this, there is a time limit where we can file a complaint about that sort of stuff, so the clock is ticking on that. I'm glad you reminded me about that. Hey, I want to share this screenshot out real quick.
My point is God sends one on the 2nd and gets a response 4 days later.
Well,
we freaking send a response, a request on October the 10th, and we still hadn't even got acknowledgement for our request.
Yeah, but we hadn't filed a federal lawsuit against them either, so they're probably a little worried about that. But I just want to pull up real quick. This is, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, Wes. This is the walking proposed budget amendment. This is the public records request sent on November the 2nd, right here. There's the public records request, and here, I think this should be the right one. Let's see. There's there's where he's writing blah blah blah. All right, let's see. Maybe that's the wrong one. Basically, let's see, documents related to it that we'll be considering. Okay, here we go. I think this little last paragraph down here from Richard Ray would be the relevant one. I would like to add that it seems your client is seeking. So they're going back and forth between Richard Ray and Weston's attorney because they're in a lawsuit. I would like to add that it seems like your client is seeking documents related to proposed budget amendments that will be considered in the form of proposed budget ordinances at upcoming city council meetings. Please let your client know that documents related to the budget ordinances have been published by the clerk of the council and will be discussed. In other words, there ain't no amendments.
I thought I read somewhere that there are no records responsive to any of your clients' requests.
Let's see here. Here we go. Actually, right above. Good catch. Yeah, right up here in the blue text. Let's see if I can get my little pointer. Yes. There are no records responsive to the request right there. Good catch.
So 24 hours before the council meeting, apparently, we don't know anything about, there's no amendments. Nobody knows nothing. I find that hard to believe. So 24 hours before the council meeting, you don't know about insurance premiums for all of the city employees. You don't know about having to increase the trash rates on all of the city, folks. You don't know about the Parkway Capital Fund, the sales tax revenue regarding that. You don't know anything about that. You don't know anything about, the fire improvements and operations and streets and drainage funds and the revision, quote, the revised sales tax allocation between funds, no change to total, just the allocation. Engineering department increase mowing and demolitions. I mean, I'm dying to know that if we go doing public information requests that the city attorney and mayor's office will never respond to for emails from people in the engineering department asking for an increase in mowing and demolitions or information services for increase in overtime, or increase in consulting services. They 2% budget cuts, operating accounts, including salaries, benefits. You're telling me on all those things, there's not going to be any paper trail, no emails, no nothing. Nobody knew anything about it 24 hours before the council meeting? Come on. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Good point. All right, so let me put a couple of comments up here. Maybe the Queen and Jester carried it to the meeting today. Yes, he is a week ahead of them always. Let's see. Why can't someone just go pull the lawsuit? It's either under seal or not.
Well, so God steps up here and drops the mic. Well, what do you think they did next?
Well, let's see.
To study that intensely. And I agree with Councilman Smith's comments. This is the exact same issue that we criticize our nationally elected leaders and our state legislature for taking a gigantic budget and presenting it for approval without anyone having the opportunity to make an intelligent dive into the contents. So I would ask that you vote in favor of Councilman Smith's motion, because you do a public a disservice, and you've also misled a public records request requesting these proposed amended items, and it's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Uh-oh, boys. What you gonna do?
15-minute recess.
They're like, what? What?
Tap out time.
15-minute recess.
15-minute recess.
Okay. Second. All in favor?
Okay.
Okay, but you can't stop it. You got to keep playing.
Oh yeah. Listen closely here. Let me turn the volume up just a touch on it.
Are you gonna?
Any opposed? All right.
All right. I don't know. I can't see the timestamp.
I'm confused.
Confused.
We can't all go, we can't all go together. Are we going into executive session?
Hot Mike.
I'm thoroughly confused.
Poor Brian. Sorry for the banging noise, folks, but listen up. Let's see, it's right.
Phyllis, turn off the mic.
There it is, right there.
Phyllis.
Y'all hear that?
Play it again. Go back.
Phyllis, turn off the mic. Listen closely. Let me crank it up just a touch more. Sorry for all the banging around.
Phyllis, turn off the mic. Phyllis, can you kill this?
Turn off the mic, Phyllis. Turn it off.
We're trying to talk here.
Radio silence. And so they ended up doing a part 2 of the meeting. All right. So let's summarize. It was a clown show.
It was a clown show. And, you saw the Queen and you saw Smith tie into it. And, the long and short of it is that, procedurally, how does this budget thing have to go? Right. So, and of course, I'm sure that Jeff Sadow or someone will correct me, but to the best of my understanding is that, while the CAO said they had till December 15th, I think maybe the charter says that, but I think actually by statute they have to have things kind of December 1st. Well, so they posted the budget, and you say, well, they have to have it posted for 2 weeks before they vote on it. But here's the catch. They can make amendments, at the meeting when they're voting on the thing. So, but if they had, say, not voted on the budget, they wouldn't have been able to get the amendments legally in per statute, right?
Okay, right.
Because it has to, one, be done by December 1st, and two, they have to advertise them 2 weeks, 2 readings, right? So after they went and haggled over it a little bit, Councilman Smith, he came back, he retracted his motion to postpone.
Right. All right. So we want to go listen to that?
Yep.
Okay. Here we go. Let's see. Let me clear some comments out of the way. Clear the clown show out of the way. Here we go. That's a little loud.
I will hesitantly remove my motion to continue this for 2 weeks, thus, so the citizens can have access to these amendments tomorrow. If we don't take action, those amendments won't be made public. So I'm going to remove my motion so those amendments.
Yeah, because this is critical. So clarify again why they won't be made public. What's the deal?
Well, I gotta tell you, I don't 100% understand why they would be made public. I would like to have an answer on that. I mean, if you would be willing to put them out there publicly today, why, if you decided not to do them and have a special meeting tomorrow to give the public 24 hours to review the black and white, or even the councilman, why not do that? But why would they not see them tomorrow? Is it because
are we missing something here, Colonel Crockett or Wes? What are we
all
missing?
the employees that aren't going to get their 2% cost of living raise? Is it because they would have time to get the message and all then be able to show up at the special meeting and let the councilman know that they don't appreciate their 2% being used to build a statue? Is that what it is? I don't understand that one. But, the king was saying earlier, talking about transparency. Is this, you have to vote for it to find out what's in the bill? Are we seeing, has Nancy Pelosi come to Bossier City?
Nancy Pelosi
we got to vote.
Bossier.
Literally, that's what Chris is saying. We have to vote on it to be able to see what's in it. He just said it.
The colonel says they will post the budget tomorrow. Weston says, I think Chris wanted to force them to publish the amendments in detail in the agenda minutes. That's a likely strategy for it. Let's see. Our good friend Michael Ferris says, marketing opportunity is city council logo with superimposed clown face window stickers. That's a good idea. That might be a sticker I'd actually put on my truck.
Well,
all right.
Well, I just have to beg the question. I mean, it ain't like they don't know they have to have this budget done, right? It isn't like this is some shock and some surprise, So, but yet somehow or another, 24 hours before you have to vote, you suddenly have these revisions that you're going to throw in there, and that you legally can do that. So it's almost like you're saying to some people, and the king talked about nefarious, but the game is structured, it seems, as so that if you want to throw an amendment in last minute, that's all you got to do is just hold on to it till the last minute and then throw it in. Well, Friday, right? or is it even Friday? And King David says that's not nefarious. Well, maybe it's not. Maybe it is allowed by statute for him to be able to do it. But is it right by the public?
Yeah, on its face, it doesn't seem like it's right. Colonel Crockett says, like I said, how many times do you violate the charter? In one meeting. All right, so the end result is they put this off, right?
Well, everybody's going to get an opportunity tomorrow to see what all is in the black and white, because as it stands right now, not all council members have seen the actual writing, and nobody out in the public has actually seen everything in black and white. They just voted for something that only a couple of them have actually seen. Y'all wrap your head around that. Thank you, King David.
Jessica Langley Maddox says, I've worked for city government and it always had to be proposed and read in public meeting. Well, apparently you ain't been around Bossier City much. All right. So, Michael Ferris says that's old school business as usual. Yep, good old boys. Never meaning no harm. And Colonel Crockett says, but this is the first reading. And I've asked this before, but I don't think I got educated. Does anybody know how the first and second readings process works? What qualifies something to get multiple readings? What qualifies something to only get one reading? Does anybody know how that actually works? Is it in the charter somewhere?
Well,
I mean, is this a Robert's Rules of Order thing that I'm not familiar with? Could be.
I got to tell you, I'm tired talking about them down there. I mean, I really am. I'm tired of talking about.
We've been on them for 6-8 months now.
I mean, and they just dig their heels in even more and more, and the arrogance of you thumbing your nose at the police and the fire, and and you're going to propose a 30% or whatever the percent minimum 30% increase for Manchac, and you're going to just piss on all your employees, and to boot, you're going to take away the cost of living raises. I mean, I don't get it. I do not get it. Are they wanting to subsidize everything else out to Manchac in Bossier City? Is that where we're going here?
It just goes back to, don't listen to the folks, don't listen to the constituents, just do what you want to. And, you know, King David does it all the time. He talks down to everybody. He thinks he's God in that room. I mean, he's got a challenger now in West, but he thinks he's God in the room. All right. So let's switch gears. We've covered Manchac. We've covered the genocide and the Bossier water. The police jury meeting. This won't take very long. And then let's get to our last item. So this police jury deal.
I still, Rex, I still haven't seen anybody come close to an educated guess on what the $50 million for in Bossier is. The new project, the newest, latest, greatest thing.
Well, I mean, there's a
They're
hint.
all drawing a blank.
Yeah, there's a hint, literally right there in our show items, right there above the Acadiana Mortgage logo. There's a hint right there.
Yep.
All right.
All right. So Bossier Parish Police Jury.
Yeah. So this is this comes in from a public information request. And here's the interesting thing about it. Now, this is nothing new, folks. This is back in 2021, but it was brought to our attention. And it's something that we've been saying all along. Most of us know, so we're not going to harp on it too long. But notice, this is from Eric Hudson, assistant parish engineer back in 2021. Anyway, he says in that last paragraph, highlighted in yellow, the increase is within our budget and we recommend approval. Please respond to yes or no, and we will, quote, ratify this at the next meeting if approved. It's, you can see right here, it's sent to all of the police jurors. I mean, I didn't sit there and count them, but I'm pretty sure that's all of them. So Now, we don't know what the responses to this email were. Okay? So maybe they didn't actually take action on this, but I'm going to put this screenshot up here. It's interesting to note. So, according to AG opinion number 14-0065, this is in the Open Meetings Handbook for the state of Louisiana. A member who polls a majority of the members of a public body on a matter which may later be considered by the public body as a whole may violate the open meetings law if the poll is used to circumvent the purpose and intent of the open meetings law. Knowing how a majority of the public body will vote on a matter prior to the actual vote at a properly noticed public meeting can mean that a measure passes with little debate or that a measure is never brought up for debate. Well, how many times have we seen the Bossier Parish Police Jury? There's no debate on anything. And you wonder why. This is exactly why.
I can tell you I am not surprised, and especially when I saw the first name in that email chain of Juliana Parks. I'm not surprised at all, but she is an attorney. I would have thought she would have known better. I even saw Patrick Jackson's in there.
Well,
surely he would have known better.
Well, you know, he knows everything. And look, was Doug Rimmer in there? Let's see.
Now, don't
Yes,
be beating
look,
up
Doug.
on...
But
Look,
Doug Rimmer's
don't
there.
be-
They always follow the law. See?
Don't
See
be
right there?
beating up on Doug Rimmer, because I got a plan for Doug Rimmer.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
I-
What's the
Rex,
plan?
I've got a plan. Here's the plan. We're going to get Doug to run for that vacant city council seat that Jeff Free's going to vacate because when he gets term limited. We're going to get Doug to run, and he's going to go to Bossier, and he's going to fix all that stuff down there. Law's going to go down
because
there.
they follow the law.
Well, he said himself, we don't have those problems in the parish like y'all got down there in Bossier City. Remember that?
Yeah, that is true.
I think we're going to send Doug Rimmer down there, and he's going to fix it.
Rimmer for city council. Who's on board?
Yes, sir.
It'll add more entertainment value to the circus. Trust us, folks.
He's got my support. I'm on board.
All right. Let's see if we got some comments here. Let's see. Julie Ferris says, law, we approaching the likes of New Orleans City Council if the city is slapped with a consent decree. Let's see. Ashley Bullock says, Rex, those are just opinions. You don't have to abide by it. Weren't you at the October RPEC meeting? Good point there, Ashley. Let's see. Most of the Bossier, this kills me too. Most of the Bossier Parish Police Jury used AOL for email. You got mail. That should tell us all we need to know. They're still using AOL.
Right.
And Weston brings up a good point. So, in case y'all didn't know, private emails are subject to public records requests when used for public business per the Supremes of Louisiana. That is a good point there, Wes. So, okay. Has nobody answered yet?
Nobody
on the
has
$50 million deal?
No, I don't think anybody has a clue. I really don't.
Well, it's 8:59, so we're bumping to exactly 2 hours now. So, do we have any screenshots for this, or how did this information come about?
All right. So, when you say beer for my horses, exactly which horses are you talking about?
That would be the question.
I think that would be the question. So I'm going to start it off by saying this. Again, it's another one of those anonymous tips. Have a high degree of certainty that this happened the way it was conveyed to us. We don't know for 100%, but we're pretty confident that this is accurate. We have verified from a source that there was some accuracy to what we're about to put out there. That, and I'm going to say this, allegedly a parish-wide elected official, and I mean, look, I like him. I voted for him. Known him all my life, probably longer than any other politician in Bossier. But apparently, the sheriff approached Bossier City elected officials and some on the council about a proposal to build a $50 million cutting horse arena in Bossier City.
This takes the tennis to a whole new level. This is beyond baseball and tennis combined. A $50 million cutting horse stable arena, whatever. And look, nothing against, cutting horses and riding and all that and rodeos and all that. I enjoy going to them, but $50 million of city money?
I'm not going to say
parish
city
money or a combination of all of it. I mean, the sheriff's department's got lots of money.
I'm going to say taxpayer. I'm going to say taxpayer dollars. Well, why not the police jury? I mean, how many people in Bossier, except for the people out at Louisiana Downs, have horses at their house? Hell, they can't even have a chicken.
Well, I was going to say,
they can't even have a chicken. How the hell they think they're going to have a horse?
Jessica Langley, horses have to have quality of life too. Don't forget the horses. It's quality of life. That's a good one. So wait a minute. Wait a minute. First of all, we've got Louisiana Downs. Why can't private business fund this? If they want a $50 million rodeo arena or whatever it is, well, that's fine. Private business fund that sucker. If the good sheriff wants one, the sheriff's department has a lot of money. They're literally the ones that collect all the property taxes and stuff. Why the sheriff's department? Didn't they buy a hovercraft at one time? Why can't they afford a marina? An arena,
like Top Golf, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm just saying. I mean, a $50 million horse cutting arena, and allegedly, my question is why was it the sheriff pitching this? Why would it have been the sheriff pitching this?
That is a good question. Why? Does anybody know about this? I mean, anybody in the audience?
Well, obviously they didn't know about it because nobody said a thing. We've been prompting it for a couple of hours now, and nobody had a clue.
Well, they may not have thought it was $50 million.
We said $50 million. We told them up front.
Yeah, but it may not have registered that $50 million for a horse arena. I mean, that better be a heck of air conditioned, enclosed, everything.
Well, it sounds like it would be top shelf, but here's my question.
Hey, a Manchac could run it.
Manchac, obviously, they'll probably build it and do the engineering the whole 9 yards. But anyway, but here's the thing: why did he come to the city? But I know the answer already. Allegedly.
Well, maybe the police jury's broke and the city's got a credit line.
Well, there it is. It's almost like you knew.
Imagine that. I mean, Queen David tells us that all the time. They just go, and I don't know how much they have left of the bond money. They just go get another bond, I guess.
Well, supposedly, the pitch was made by the sheriff because King David couldn't make the pitch because how it would be received publicly.
Now, Andy Monica has an interesting comment. They've been researching it for over a year. Do tell, Andy. Tell us more. There's always proton mail.
Well, it sounds like Andy, if he was watching earlier, he knew and wasn't telling until we put it out there.
See, Bossier City has a $70 million bond approval just burning a hole in their pockets. See, I didn't know how much there was left in the bond issues and, they had access to.
Okay, wait a minute.
Look, wait. Thomas has got it. He might be on point. It comes with Top Golf and super duper tennis courts, and an amazing dugout to have baseball games too. See, it could be a multi-functional center arena.
So if they're trying to spend that 70 million, so 50 million for a horse arena, that how many of citizens of Bossier are going to get to use?
Well, you had to have a horse.
And
I don't have a horse.
wasn't they pitching 20 million for the YMCA?
Yeah.
Was that right? I don't know if that's the right number or not.
It's close enough.
In which the citizens of Bossier could go pay to use that. But my point being, it sure seems like local government spends a lot of money on everybody except the citizens of Bossier, the people that could benefit from that money.
But
right?
we might benefit from it. Greg Bell says, what about bungee jumping? Maybe they'll add that.
Horse bungee jumping? I've never considered that, but that might be interesting to watch. I mean, how you get them horses up there? And then when you drop them.
Well, you could use the horses to pull the rope to tow us up the line to jump off the tower item. Weston brings up a good point. He says, meanwhile, Bossier City Police qualify for welfare.
Yeah, so, I mean, look, if you're an employee of the city of Bossier, thank y'all for your cost of living raise to build the tower of tax dollars. And Manchac wants to thank, the police and fire, for your willingness to not take any pay raises so that they can get a 30% increase, because they realize that, inflation doesn't affect you like it affects them. I mean, they appreciate your understanding. And the city council, they appreciate your service as well. They value you, and they're showing you how they value you now. Thank you.
Duke, I think you're being short-sighted here. And Colonel, you should jump on this bandwagon too. Maybe they'll build that arena down there around Hooter Park. They'll have enough money that they can actually buy the land that they built the stuff on, and now they're having to lease it because they built stuff on private property.
Jessica Maddox. And streets are caving in and they're dumping shit in Duke's parking lot.
Yeah, that's great. Julie Ferris brings up a point. Fort Worth is cutting capital of the world. They spent $89 million. Let that sink in. Yeah, but $50 million over here in Bossier, people would leave Fort Worth to come over here.
Wait a minute, Fort Worth? No, that's Arlington, I think. Yeah. Anyway.
All right.
I don't know. Maybe everybody thinks we should be building a cutting horse arena. I don't know. I mean, what y'all think? We need YMCA, a cutting horse arena. What else? Top golf,
dugouts, Top Golf.
Yeah, and y'all don't get to use any of it. And if you do, you're going to pay for it.
Yeah,
twice
removed.
That's all I got. I hope everybody learned something.
I don't have much else either. It's been definitely an interesting show. I would encourage everybody, because they did the city council live stream in 2 parts, so there's 2 meetings. But trust me, you want to at least watch part 1 and watch the whole thing through. We hit most of the highlights, but there's a few other things in there that are pretty entertaining to watch. If you got something you want to send to us, there's always bossierwatch@protonmail.com. Go make you a free Proton Mail account. Don't put any identifying information in there to keep it completely anonymous. Send us an email to bossierwatch@protonmail. If you have regular mail, you don't care whether you're anonymous or not, just send it to bossierwatch@gmail.com. Either one, it doesn't matter. We get them in both places. bossierwatch.org if you want to donate some money. We get those occasionally, and that helps pay for the coffee and the software and all that good stuff. Blah, blah, blah. I can't think of anything else to rattle off. What about you, Mr. Lowry?
If you got any information, send it to us. Proton Mail. People are using it and sending stuff to us. We try to vet that, it's accurate or inaccurate as best we can, but we rely on people sharing stuff with us, and we appreciate those that have the courage to send us information. You're helping us to inform the public.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's where we got the secret meeting audio from the Bossier City Council. Came in from Proton Mail. All right. Well, that's about it for tonight. We appreciate everybody watching. We had 15, 20 people just a few minutes ago. Everybody paying attention. We appreciate all of that. We appreciate all of the comments, whether you agree or disagree or whatever. We do appreciate it all. Mr. Lowry, see you next week. We're out of here.